Repeatedly? Yeah, we're going up, 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 all right. Oh my god. We are 5th octave. For a chorus? That is brutal. Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you. Welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Julia. I'm a contemporary singing specialist based in Australia, and today we're checking out Golden from a movie that released, I think, in the last month or so, called K-Pop Demon Hunters. This movie has just gone absolutely off. I actually haven't seen it yet, so this will be my first time hearing Golden. This show and all the music in it has been so hyped, so I'm genuinely so curious and a little bit excited to be checking this one out. So let's just get into it.
I was a ghost, I was alone. 두어진 길 속에 given the throne, I didn't know how to believe I was the queen that I'm meant to be. I lived 2 lives, tried to pick both sides, but I couldn't find my own place. Caught a problem child, 'cause I got too wild, but now that's how I'm getting paid. 끝없이 on stage, I'm done hiding, now I'm shining like I'm born to be. We dreaming hard, we came so far, now I believe. We're going up, it's our moment. You know together we're glowing, gonna be golden. Up with our voices, going to get you so often, gonna be golden. I'm done hiding, now I'm shining like I'm born to be. Our time, no fears, no lies, that's who we're born to be.
Oh my god. First instincts, oh, fun, pop banger. Yeah, we can hear elements that you can hear all over K-pop. I think an important thing to remember is that a lot of the songs are manufactured to be as catchy as possible, but voice-wise, I mean, it sounds like there's 3 different vocalists, which would make sense because visually I got to see 3 different characters. Don't know their names yet, but maybe I will do a little deep dive after this and be able to put a name to a character. But anyway, voice-wise, it's got that quintessential mixed belt that you find in a lot of pop. What is shocking is the range. My fingers started itching. I just immediately went to go to the piano because it sounds like we are dominantly 5th octave, which is, quite frankly, for contemporary singing, hard to stay in without strain, and you need a few little different techniques and ways that you think about approaching your sound in order to be up there and it not just absolutely kill your voice. So it feels high. My ear is saying that's high as heck. So let me find out where we're situating.
You know together we're glowing, we're going up.
Oh my god, it's on an E5? Up, repeatedly? Yeah, we're going up, up, all right. Oh my god. My goodness. This note is positively foul. And by foul, I don't mean it's unpleasant to hear. I mean, as a singer, an E5, it's right where the transition point for if you're a contemporary vocalist where you really kind of want to be moving into second, but it doesn't sound like she's on second. It sounds like we've gone for a mixed belt with just a little sprinkle of distortion, actually. But that's actually not the highest part, but gosh. Between an E5 and a B4. Okay. Okay. G5. Yep. Sorry, as a contemporary vocalist who is a soprano, this is a positively foul part of your range to have to stay around and navigate all the time and keep a contemporary tone. There is a very specific technique that you can use to be up around there and it not sound like your voice is just absolutely shredding itself. And I will dive into that later, but please note, for now, you're kind of having to navigate this awful transition point around sort of an E5, F5, and we are mixing our butts off to get up there. It's kind of like a little bit of acoustic illusionary. It sounds like a belt because it's powerful and it still has that speechy element in there, but we are mixing our butts off, and part of it sounding powerful is simply because of where the note is, and if you keep your resonance, or I guess your shaping for a particular sound up there in a particular way, it'll sound like those belt qualities, like being acoustically powerful, like having some of that speechiness there. And I'll dive into this later, but oh my goodness, that range. We are fifth octave for a chorus. That is brutal. That is absolutely brutal. God. Anyway, we're gonna keep going, and I'll do some techniquey things further on into it because, sheesh, goddamn.
I'm done hiding now. I'm shining like I'm born to be. Oh, our time, no fears, no lies. That's who we're born to be. Waited so long to break these walls down, to wake up and feel like me. Put these patterns all in the past now, and finally live like the girl they all see. No more hiding, I'll be shining like I'm born to be. 'Cause we are hunters, voices strong, and I know I believe we're going up, it's our moment.
God, it's this repeat. Return to the G5. God damn. We're gonna keep going. I'm dying just a little bit here. Holy flip. Yeah. I want to explain all the things, but I'm gonna finish it first.
And I know I believe we're going up, it's our moment. You know together we're glowing, gonna be golden. Up with our voices, going to get just a woman, gonna be golden. I'm done hiding now, I'm shining like I'm born to be. Oh, our time, no fears, no lies. That's who we're born to be. You know we're gonna be golden. We're gonna be glowing like every night on the day. You know that it's our time, no fears, no lies. That's who we're born to
Whew. That was so fun! I now understand why people have mentioned that the songs in the show have no right going that hard, but honestly, I feel like it does the K-pop theme justice because so much of K-pop songwriting is about creating those bangers, is about manufacturing this super fun, engaging, almost like addictive experience with the music, with the visuals, with the entire like system that surrounds K-pop. So this ticks so many of the boxes for me that transfer quite literally over into actual industry practices. And as someone who has in fact worked with idols specifically on voice training for people who are hoping to debut someday and be able to use their voices professionally in this particular industry, the business side of it, the commercialization side of it is incredibly important, and it factors so heavily into the training that you receive as well. There are specific things that you're trying to cultivate within that training to be able to make it possible to sing these kinds of things. And I know people may be going, oh, it's an animation, it's a movie, people aren't going to have to actually sing this live. I know for a fact that there are K-pop vocalists who could absolutely sing this song and it just be like part of their general set off the top of my head. And forgive me, I am about a generation behind at the moment, but I'm thinking people like Sola and Huyen from Mamamoo. I'm thinking people like Wendy from Red Velvet, Sion I think that's how you say it, Xion from Dreamcatcher. Insane mixed metallic belting, which you would need in spades to be able to sing this song. I think the biggest shock for me is that often your like F sharp 5, G5, A5, those are your money notes, and you usually build into singing those towards the end of the song. Here it's in the chorus. This might be one of the most brutal choruses I have ever heard, actually, from a pop singing perspective, and you are 1000% going to need strategies if you were to sing this one in any kind of repetitive fashion if it was to be live. In a booth, when you're recording, you can record in snippets, you can take a little break, you can sip some water and pray. No, I'm kidding. You can take your time with it, is what I'm saying. So let's dive into some technique stuff, because we do have 3 voices here, but it sounds like the chorus is dominantly being carried by one vocalist. Let me find their name. Rumi. Okay. Who was the voice of Rumi? Also, that hair, my first thought was it looks cool, but it also looks heavy as hell. What would you spend, like 6 hours trying to make something like that? EJAE. Okay, EJAE. Who are you? EJAE, South Korean, an American singer-songwriter and record producer. She's known for her work with Red Velvet. Okay, cool, twice. Yep, alright. Writing several songs on the track. Oh my god, a trainee for 10 years? That makes a lot of sense then. If she's been in that industry and she's written songs for the show, but then also for active K-pop groups, that 1000% makes sense why the songwriting, or at least with this one, I don't know if she specifically wrote this song, but why the songwriting seems so relevant. Like it feels so industry standard. Anyway, so what is the dominant technique that is being used in this song, and why is this chorus so flipping brutal? Firstly, it's up in the 5th octave, like the whole time pretty much. Secondly, you have a few different kinds of mixing that's going on. The first being a really solid first register mix, and the second being what I'm thinking is actually just a super powerful head mix that's kind of like straddling the line between being like a chest mix and a head mix. But the big thing here is actually the intervals. It's in a super uncomfortable part of the range. 2 transition points that you're kind of having to navigate. The first is just being able to carry up a belt up above this A4, and then the second is being able to carry up that chest mix up to around this E5, F5, and that is like a secondary transition point where it just feels really uncomfortable. You're probably going to want to change either to a head mix or completely to second register by that point. So as a female contemporary vocalist who is closer to, let's say, a soprano range, around this type of zone is usually where you're putting in the most work development wise. It's not necessarily going to come quite as naturally. Some people are just acoustically set up to create beautiful mixes there with little effort. So for some people, they may be able to get this quickly. For others, if you're learning, there are a few things that you can do. The first is to recognize that a mix is an acoustically powerful sound. It is not necessarily a heavy sound. The second is the volume that you're hearing is not a byproduct of effort or strain. It's a byproduct of how things have been shaped within the vocal tract in order to make something sound really powerful. And then the only difference really between a head mix and a chest mix is that TA engagement level, allowing you to carry up the qualities of first register, or what sounds to be like first register, up higher and higher and higher. So even though this is absolutely a belt, it's technically not the same kind of belt that you would hear lower down in the range, and there's a reason for that. You need these mixing techniques to be able to belt up around here. The only other artist that I've heard belt higher than that, and it sound like a true belt, is Sohyang, who is also a Korean vocalist. Absolute monster. Across this whole song, we're utilizing contemporary techniques. We're in first register for the verses, and especially towards the end, it sounds like we got quite low. Caption Julia, please insert what note she got to. And throughout the song, we can hear different registration choices. First register, nice and low and warm. We've got some vocal fry in there, and we've got some aspiration. Vocal fry being that we kind of hear creep into some of the low notes, and then aspiration being the breathiness that we hear. That's from the vocal folds not quite coming together. Both of those elements, both fry and aspiration, are so typical pop. And then we have... So this is a mix Try to paint both sides. We have this, this brightness that we can hear in the sound. It's also just produced within an inch of its life. So please bear that in mind. Up there, it's not like she's trying to make a heavy full sound. So slightly different to the approach in the beginning, which is completely first register. And it's able to be like that because of how low it is. And then here we're getting higher again.
Now that's how I'm getting paid. Could I see on stage? I'm done hiding, now I'm shining.
Here we have more mixing. And if we're a little confused about what a mix is, and a mix is a combination of things. So yes, some stuff is happening with the vocal folds, but it's also more to do with your shaping. So you can, in theory, create a heavier sound here. I'm done hiding! Like you could, if you wanted to, make it heavier like that. But we're leaning more into this mix here. I'm done hiding. We can hear that it's softened out, but we still have this, this brightness, that's in the sound.
I'm done hiding, now I'm shining.
And honestly, I really like the contrast that we've got different weights, different kinds of mix. There's a difference between mixing on a balanced tone and mixing for a belt. One is definitely a lot more acoustically powerful than the other, but if you're someone who's not familiar with mixing, you can start to encourage this in your own sound just by practicing things like meow meows or nye nyes or even witch cackles. So if we're sort of around here is generally when people want to start mixing. So if we have this meow 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 meow, we want to lean into this this brightness that we hear. You can hear it on a nya 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 as well, or you can do it on a yeah. It's just important that we also get that brightness in the vowel, not just on the consonant. But anyway, so that's a good baby little like beginner place to start for learning how to mix. And then the challenge is, of course, as you get higher, how do we maintain that mixing quality while also letting go of the weight of what we feel our first register should sound like? Transitioning from something that maybe muscularly feels like a powerful tone to something that is more acoustically a powerful tone. And we get this in this chorus, basically. So we get this balance between something that isn't acoustically, like, absolutely gunning it in this section.
I'm done hiding, now I'm shining like I'm born to be.
Again, more of that breathiness.
We dreaming hard, we came so far now.
Far is a little bit more acoustically powerful than the first part of this pre-chorus. And it's a great setup for this chorus, to be honest. Now, I'm going to absolutely, like, twang the crap out of this. It's not going to sound very pop. But we want to really lean into this, I believe. We can hear how there's that quality at the top there. Now, you can make it a head mix. It'll still register as something powerful. That's not quite what she's doing there. She's using a first register mix sound.
We're going up.
Yeah, geez, God, we are going up. We're going up, all right, on a first register mix. Oh my God, we're going up. So what you would do is, if you're trying to encourage this sound, find where your first register mix is comfortable going to. And then also practice your head mix, and then gradually you can start to feed one into the other, and slowly you acquire the capacity to carry up that first register mix up a little higher and up a little higher. It's almost like a balancing act between the two, because essentially what you're trying to do to keep that first register mix going is you're just maintaining some TA engagement, this stiffening at the vocal fold level. And this is something that you practice, and it absolutely should not hurt. If it feels like you are straining, if you are experiencing pain trying to do these things, you need to take a little step back, sip some water. Actually, that's probably a good idea for me to do. Drink some tea. Once you're hydrated, as an example, if I'm down here, let's just put it on a yeah. A yeah is a nice place to start. So we've got yeah. We can hear that it's a little bit heavy. I'm trying to beef it up so that we can hear the differences. That is going to sound a little different up here. Yeah. We're trying to encourage this bright quality. In the vowel, not just on the consonant, in the vowel. And you can use this Y consonant to actually kind of encourage the presence of what we call twang, or this brightness, into your sound. You can use Ys, you can use nya, you can use witch cackles. But the main goal is that as we get even higher, you want to be able to maintain that brightness. In fact, that brightness becomes absolutely key for this to even sound like an acoustically powerful sound, i.e., start to lean more towards a belt. And so this is just like a little warm-uppy practice thing. Lean into how disgusting the brightness is and focus less on trying to make it a loud sound and more just on feeling out where that brightness is, really leaning into that as opposed to deliberately trying to make it super loud. Here's an example. If you were to be ascending, let's just use a basic 5-note scale on a yeah. 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 We can hear this brightness. Yeah. If I was to like really ham it up, it's almost like a cat screeching. Can't find it. Spend some time on a Y consonant just until you can like suss out what that brightness might feel like. And until you find that, don't try and like brute force your way through an exercise like this. You can absolutely follow this up even higher. Yeah. That is around the zone of where we are for this chorus. Let me double check it. So we have a perfect fourth. Anything that is sort of a perfect fourth or wider is going to need a little bit of adjustment. The mix that you'll be using on the we're going is going to feel slightly different to where you would want to be for sustainably repeating this E5. They're going to be neighbors, don't get me wrong, they won't feel completely different, but there is a bit of an adjustment there, and being comfortable going from one to the other is how you would navigate that interval. So you could do things like your nyenyes or your meow meows, just practicing that interval and finding, okay, what's my comfortable mix up here? The alternative is you could also use a head mix up there. So I don't know the words, but I'm just going to say up, 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 and then some gibberish. And then you can use the same thing on the gonna be golden. This is the kind of place where you would start to try and find what she then uses up on this A5 later. But yeah, so that is what I would do if you're trying to sing this song. You can always just sing it down the octave too if you want. But that is why this is perhaps one of the most brutal choruses I think I have ever heard. An A5? An A5? Are you kidding me? You best be twanging your butt off up there. And another little tip would be please don't lean too heavily into the consonants. This buh, because it's a plosive, it builds up a lot of pressure, and you almost want this like smooth, this smooth pressure between the words instead of having a sudden explosion. So gentle with the buh. Smooth touch and release on that buh. But yeah, oh my goodness. It's catchy, it's fun, I'm definitely going to have to see the show. Yeah, absolutely brutal chorus. Please remember, there is production on this. I think in a live environment, it would be very easy to just use a very strong head mix for that high A5, and it will sound like in similar territory without potentially overextending your voice too much. Not saying you can't also get more of those first register tones up there, but just bear in mind that the amount of acoustic power that you're going to get out of it is just not going to feel the same as when you're in the lower parts of your range. Belting below the 5th octave and sort of just entering the 5th octave is going to feel very different to what belting on that high A5 will feel like. You're leaning more into those brighter, almost shrill tones, and there's just going to be a little bit less of the capacity to fully shape the words, so gentle with those consonants and you'll be fine. Anyways, I think that is where I'm going to leave that one today. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like, click the subscribe button and the bell notification beside it for more just like this one. As usual, I hope you're staying safe, I hope you are staying healthy, and I'll see you next time. Bye! My throat was just like, ooh, okay. Voices behind K-pop demon hunters. The AI overview. I hope it's correct. I guess we'll find out. Singing voices for the main characters are EJAE for Rumi, Audrey, Nuna for Mira, and Ray Ami for Zoe. Who sings the chorus? No, not Harry Styles. Of golden K-pop. Purple hair K-pop demon hunters. It wasn't a boy. Purple hair girl. Why is this so hard? Oh my god, a trainee for 10 years? Debut failed both with the group and as a soloist. And she can sing like that. Anyway, so EJ, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's the acronym and I meant to go EJAE. That sounds too long, that can't be right. Transpose it down.